Assalamu alaikum, how are you all? How was your year?
Wa alaikum assalam. This year was an interesting year. I especially liked the Islamic studies classes when we learned about the story of Maryam in Surah Ali Imran since I memorized the surah in Quran class.
I specifically like this ayah. إذ قالت امرأة عمران ربي إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم, which means Imran's wife gave her child up for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Something I really liked about this ayah is how Imran's wife included muharrara in her dua. Because if you want to be a leader with a mission and stop injustice, you have to be free from any distractions and or desires in this world.
Another ayah that stood out to me was فتقبلها ربها بقبول حسن وأنبتها نباتا حسنا وكفلها زكريا ولما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا قالت هو من عند الله إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب.
وأنبتها نباتا حسنا. Growing a strong, healthy plant is like raising a child. In order to grow a strong, healthy plant, you have to put it in a good environment with protection and provide it with water and nutrients. Whenever you see a strong, beautiful tree, know it has strong roots.
Yes, and in order to raise a child, you need to put them in a good environment and move them away from any bad influence. You need to provide them with education and raise them with good manners. It's important for adults to be a good influence on their children from a young age. When planting a seed in a person, the result needs time to show.
We could see that in the story of Maryam. Maryam's mom implemented the seed in Maryam which shaped her to be the woman she was. She sacrificed seeing her own daughter grow up by putting her in the temple for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You know, Maryam's mother kind of reminds me of the woman in Gaza. Even in the harsh conditions they live in, the mothers in Gaza prioritize raising their children on the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their religion, and the memorization of the Quran. Of course, the environment the child is in and the role of the mother is important. However, the child has to be willing to benefit from the goods around them, because if the child isn't willing to work on themselves, the results seen might not be what's expected.
That's a good point. Maryam grew up with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love of her religion because she decided to benefit from the goods around her. She had a special connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a young age. And even though she was still in her youth, she was strong enough to move herself away from the worldly desires. She was mature and she had strong faith.
I feel like for youth especially, it could be harder to limit yourself or move yourself away from distractions. However, we see the children in Gaza full of love towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their religion. The children in Gaza focus so much on memorizing their Quran regardless of the conditions they live in. The boys speak as men and the girls are young women focusing on their faith, just like Maryam. The people in Gaza, young to old, are truly role models for everyone in the world.
The people in Gaza are full of patience. This reminds me of Maryam's mother's wish, which was to see the Aqsa free by one of her descendants. Isa alayhi salam, her grandson, will come at the end of time to free Al-Aqsa. In the end, Maryam's mother's dua came true. You should never underestimate the power of dua. Staying patient is important because Allah's plan will always be better than your own.
Like you said, we should never underestimate the power of dua, but we should also never underestimate the power of a woman. Freeing Al-Aqsa was a woman's dream. We could see so many women these days full of passion and power standing up for what's right. It took only one girl to shake the colleges, cause the encampments and uprising that we all seen.
I think we can all say this year was very eventful. I'm glad that our parents sent us to Leaders Academy, providing us with a good environment. Thank you to all the teachers who implemented something in us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant the people of Gaza victory very soon. Assalamu alaikum.